Hi everybody, my name is Marius Venter, and in this video I will be explaining to you and showing you how to enable FIPS on an HP router. The agenda for today is what this video covers is pretty much how to convert the router into FIPS mode. Alright, there's certain commands we're going to go through and I'll show you that. The video does not cover the actual content of FIPS, alright, or the rules around FIPS. What I want to basically show you is just the conversion process of how to get the router to be an actual FIPS compliant device. Okay, the actual products that we're going to use is the VSR, Virtual Services Router, in this actual video from HP itself. Right, without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so what is FIPS all about? Like I said, just very quickly, I'm just going to show you around FIPS on Wikipedia. And effectively inside the actual Federation Information Processing Standards, it's a set of rules that needs to be complied with, right, from a certain device point of view. So from a FIPS point of view, what I want to say is it's not a bunch of commands that you will do in a specific way. What it does is once you convert it into a FIPS mode, a device, you only have certain commands and you are restricted to certain security conditions, right, once you've converted. What I would like to just caution you on is once you've converted, it definitely does impact your router, you know, from a configuration point of view. So you'll know if you have to convert to FIPS mode. You'll be a government organization or something similar, right, where you need a very high secure device, right? And what I want to do is just caution you that if you don't have to do this, just think about it, you know, before you actually just get it done, right? The next thing I'd like to do is, while I'll show you the next startup, alright, is if you go to this site, right, that's the HP website, that's the actual PDF that I'm actually using from a configuration standpoint. Right, I'm not going to download the whole thing, I've done that before, I've got the PDF open, so if I just scroll to it, that'll be the PDF. Right, so what does the PDF cover? It's a whole lot of information about the actual setup of the VSR, but more specifically around the FIPS. Let's quickly have a look at it. There they explain what it does. Right, what FIPS, basically what it's compliant with, which is the FIPS 140-2, configuring restrictions and guidelines. Well, it goes through a whole lot of guidelines and things that will change. I'm not going to read all of this back to you. I'm sure you have lots of time to do this, but it starts to change the behavior of your router. All right, make no mistake, it will delete a bunch of keys, for instance. All right, and then it will force you to go into an actual compliant key pair. Alright, with a minimum length of 2048 bits. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about, you know, so be very careful before you just convert and think you can just convert back afterwards and everything will be fine. It does change the behavior of your router. Right, you can get it back to a standard mode, but like I said, from a configuration point of view, you potentially would lose a lot of that. Right, the password, they will specify the password lengths that you have to put in there. It will have very specific password requirements. I'm not going to, like I said, read this all to you. You can actually read this if you want. Okay, there is a rollback function. Right, but what I said was the startup configuration file does not support the rollback, but you can roll back the router. But once you roll back the router, you will lose the configuration file. As simple as that. Okay, so be careful that you don't have the only configuration file on the router, then basically convert it and decide this is not for you, and then try and roll back and expect the same configuration file. Won't happen. Okay. So let's go one step further. How to enter FIPS mode? Well, there's two specific ways to enter FIPS mode. It's the automatic reboot or the manual reboot. You have to reboot the system. Like I said, it will reboot into a FIPS compliant system. Okay, automatic reboot, there's a couple of things that happen. As you go into the FIPS enablement mode, it will ask you, well, are you sure that you want to reboot the device afterwards, or are you aware of it? You have to say yes, of course, it has to reboot. Once you've said that, it will say, do you want to do an automatic or a manual reboot? By specifying an automatic reboot, all right, it will then take you to the next step, which is you have to specify an actual username that you log in with as a crypto officer, as you see at the bottom there, and you have to specify a minimum 15-character password, all right, which includes basically uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters, and so forth. All right, I think the only character that's not included is a question mark, if I remember correctly. Good. Once you specify that password twice, of course, it then reboots the device and it comes in and reboots. As it reboots, you'll then log in as a crypto officer. At that point, it will actually ask you for username and password with 0 configuration on the box, potentially. It will still ask for username and password, and once you log in, you'll be restricted to FIPS compliant commands only. Manual reboot, I just want to mention quite quickly. I'm not going to read everything back to you, but the manual reboot says, well, you're going to go into the manual process of creating your own username and password. You write a user role of network admin and so forth. Right? You'll have to create a minimum password length of 15 characters. So what you're doing is you're actually setting up the rules for the actual FIPS compliancy. And that is quite a couple of rules that you have to set up. My personal preference, of course, is automatic. Just works much easier, and I know that's a standard way of doing it anyway. Alright, so from that point, how do we do that? Well, a system view FIPS mode enable. As simple as that, with huge consequences. So, like I said, just be wary. Okay, let's just click into this. Okay, as you can see, it's a brand spanking new virtual router. Right, I use it at this point with 0 configuration. Display this. I don't have any configuration on there. Display current configuration. Right, you'll see it's basically the standard configuration that I have in there. Let me just prove it to you. If I do a display FIPS status, at the moment it's disabled, and another way to prove this is to line auxiliary 1 and maybe change the password there. So the authentication mode is none. I could do that if I did a question mark. You'll see I've got options there. So if I said none, it will basically say, well, I don't need a password. But at this point, it's because I'm not FIPS compliant. I can still decide what I want to do and what levels of security I want. You'll see this behavior change quite a bit after the actual reboot within FIPS mode. What are we saying? We want to basically say FIPS mode, right, enable. Okay, before you hit the enter button, you can Control C out of this. But take this seriously at this point, because we are going to change the behavior of the router. Okay, FIPS mode change requires device reboot. Continue, yes or no? If you say no at this point, it will break out. So yes. Okay, reboot the device automatically or manually. That was the choice you had to make. Yes, I want an automatic reboot. Enter a username. Let's call it root, 1 to 55 characters for now. Okay, let's call it root. And a password at least 15 characters long, uppercase, lowercase, number, special characters. So let's make this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, normal. QWERTY, and I'm going to go shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 special characters and QWERTY. Brilliant. Okay, confirm password. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say QWERTY and special characters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and QWERTY once again. All right. No, my password was poor password complexity. Okay, I didn't use uppercase letters there. I wanted to basically show you that if you do get this wrong, it will tell you, try again. Okay, so let's see again, and that's great. Let's try this again. This time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. QWERTY lowercase. Special characters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And QWERTY uppercase. Let's try again. Okay, quite a strong password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. QWERTY and shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 special characters and QWERTY again. This time it's happy, and immediately there's not are you sure, do you want to, is this his last option? No, it just literally goes into reboot, done. Your router will now fundamentally change its behavior quite a bit. Okay, so while it's rebooting the device, to save some time, yeah, let's just break out of this. Let's look at what basically just happened to your router. Right, the user login authentication mode can only be scheme now. Remember previously we had none password scheme. It can only be scheme now. The FTP, TFTP server and client are disabled. Telnet servers and clients are disabled. HTTP server is disabled, and if it's disabled, you can't re-enable it, by the way. You're in save mode now, okay, in FIPS mode. SNMP version 1 and 2 dead. Alright, you can only use version 3. SSL server only supports TLS 1.0. Alright, SSH server does not support SSH version 1, clients and DSA key pairs. As you can see, the RSA DSA key pairs must have a modulus length of at least 2048. So, quite strong at the moment. Right, the password control function cannot be disabled globally. The undo password control enable command does not take effect. Okay, understand that. So a whole lot of things have basically just happened to your device. Right, you can exit out of FIPS mode. Alright, what you will do is you'll basically just do the undo. It will ask you, do you want to break out of it? And from that point of view, you can say yes, and you can basically convert back into a non-FIPS mode router. Remember, this is not a rollback if you had a configured device. Okay, let's see if this has started up. There is something that has started up at this point. All right, let's just click into it again, and this time I have a login root. Now what's going to happen is it's going to ask me for that very complex password, 12345 QWERTY and shift 12345 QWERTY uppercase. Here it says, well, enter the password again, the old password. Let's make sure you're not somebody else. 12345 QWERTY uppercase, sorry, shift 12345 special characters QWERTY uppercase. Now it's going to ask you for a new password, and you have to have at least 4 characters different from the previous password. And I can pretty much show that to you, but let's just get a new password. So I'm going to go 67890, right, QWERTY, and shift special characters 67890 and uppercase QWERTY. Let's do that again. 67890 QWERTY and shift 67890 and QWERTY uppercase. That took quite a bit of configuration and keeping my mind around this. Okay, talking to you guys and doing this. Anyway, my password has now been changed to a really nice complex password. I shouldn't forget that. All right, otherwise I'm going to struggle getting into this router again. But if you did a display FIPS status this time, that says FIPS mode enabled. All right, if you had a question mark, you still have a lot of configuration opportunity and potential. All right, if you go to system, you can still get into system mode, everything is good. But I'll give you where this starts to become really important is, for instance, if you go into line auxiliary 1 this time and you say authentication mode, what do you have? Only scheme. You can't do none anymore. All right, so please be wary of the fact that what we've done here is we've literally converted this into quite a secure device, and a lot of your configurations will now disappear. And if you go and start to scroll through this document over here, you'll see that in certain cases it will say, well, these are the configuration commands, but to be FIPS compliant, these are the conditions. All right, and you'll see that the normal configuration commands won't be available to you, only the FIPS compliant configuration commands, and that's more to do about security than anything else. Okay, so once I've switched this back off again, basically I just want to show you before I switch this video of how to convert back, all right, if you needed to do that. So let's go back there again. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to do the configuration mode right now. It's going to complain about that. That's fine. All right, what we can do, we say undo FIPS, all right, and mode enable. It says FIPS mode change requires device reboot. Continue. Yes. Okay, and of course it will automatically reboot. Yes, we want to do that, and there it is rebooting now. It doesn't ask you many questions, it just basically reboots because you're already logged in as the actual root, you know, that we basically created in the beginning. Okay, and once you've restarted this router, it will be back to its normal. Like I said, don't expect the configuration files to be the same. Okay, I hope you found this video to be helpful. And like I said, check out the actual configuration itself. There's just too many of those configuration options to talk about in one video. Okay, I hope you found it helpful, and please like this page if you like the video, and also if you want to see more videos, please visit us at ABC Networking. Thank you so much. Cheerio, bye-bye.